"3D entertains. It designs iPhones and coffee machines. It builds cars. It even saves lives. And it does all of this today. And yet, as a representation of reality, 3D has so much more to offer. So whether you're looking to improve our communities, build next-generation infrastructure, safeguard the public, or perhaps simply, but very importantly, save time and win more business, let me show you what Nearmap 3D can do for you. But first, I'm going to take you to a faraway place, to the south of France. I want you all to imagine you are at an art event, the unveiling of a masterpiece. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking great food, an amazing glass of wine. Sorry, none of that for you today. You are in the south of France, at an art event, sitting on a rock in a cave 30,000 years ago. And the masterpiece being unveiled is this one right here. This is one of the earliest paintings known to man. And I can see quite a few of you looking at this quite carefully now. What you can see is that there is depth being portrayed here. There's a sense of 3D. Clearly, whoever painted this was trying to convey the notion of a 3D reality. But we're going to get out of the cave. We're going to visit this gentleman right here, the one and only, the true great Leonardo da Vinci. Artist, engineer, inventor, the man did it all. He was an intellectual colossus. But the great Da Vinci struggled, in fact, was quite famously frustrated. What frustrated him was the difficulty of capturing 3D reality, the richness of the world, on a 2D canvas, which is, of course, what he had available to him at that time. Now let's fast forward to today. And what a different world we live in. Devices, computers, the ones in your hand that you use every day, or the ones out in the data center, have changed everything, and that includes 3D. Let me show you how. We all watch movies, but do any of you know what the highest grossing film of all time is to this very day? Well, no prizes for guessing. It is, of course, this one right here. It is Avatar. $2.8 billion. But Avatar didn't just make a lot of money. It was also a 3D film, and established 3D as a valid medium of film production. So 2.8 billion is a pretty good number. But if you like numbers, you should have a look at 3D computer games. Call of Duty, a single title, has made over 17 billion, 1-7. Clearly, 3D is a massive deal when it comes to entertainment. But let's look at something completely different. Do you have a phone, a washing machine, a dishwasher, a fridge, a car? Of course you do. We all do. But did you know that pretty much all of these things are designed using 3D computer packages? And in fact, the entire manufacturing process behind them is heavily geared towards 3D. So just about literally everything you use, everything you touch every single day was conceived using 3D. We're going to take one more example here. We've all been to a doctor, visited a GP. Perhaps some of us have broken arm or leg. Yep, we've all been there. X-rays, we're all familiar with those. Medical imaging. But yet again, 3D has had a profound impact on medical imaging. And in fact, you can today go to a surgeon, you can get scanned in 3D, and that surgeon can explore different surgery paths, leading to both safer and better outcomes. So we can see that 3D has already profoundly changed our lives. But what is it about 3D that makes it special? Why 3D? First, 3D is observational. You can look, inspect, assess from any angle. Second, it is immersive. You can place yourself inside a scene and get the full perspective. Or if you're working on design, you can literally take that design, place that inside the scene. And you can see how that design fits in the broader context. 3D, of course, is also measurable. You can quantify angles, lengths, heights, volumes. This type of information is fundamentally important if you're working on a design or perhaps a planning project. But 3D is not just measurable. It is, in fact, also analytical. You can explore scenarios, evaluate options, and ultimately make much more informed, much better decisions. So 3D makes sense. And now if you think about it, we live in a 3D world, and most of the problems we're looking to solve are, in fact, 3D problems. So wouldn't it be great to have a representation of 3D as something we can use every day to solve those problems? Wouldn't it be good to have that at our fingertips? And I'm sure most of you are kind of nodding out there saying, yep, that makes sense, of course it would. Except that until today, this has been quite hard. Let me illustrate why. Up until now, 3D acquisition has been a bespoke process. Kind of like what Machenda talked about. You had to find someone who would fly a plane or drone. They wait for the weather to be right, all that kind of thing had to happen. Eventually, they'll end up with some imagery which will get processed somehow. And typically what you end up with is a relatively small footprint of 3D content. It would take weeks, if not months, to get it, and it was expensive. So slow, expensive, and end-to-end quite awkward. Now, at Nearmap, we looked at this and we thought, there's got to be a better way. And we set out to fix the 3D problem. We set out to make 3D easy and readily available to you. Let me show you how. The first thing we did was we fully committed to 3D, and we invested heavily into research and development. Now, the reason we had to do this is because 3D is what I call a deep tech problem. These types of problems are fundamentally hard. They sit at the intersection of science, cutting-edge engineering, and maths. I know, maths, who would have thought, right? If you've got kids, they're looking to learn maths, so you try and convince them, you can tell them the story. But truly, it sits at a kind of key intersection of three things: science, engineering, maths. So these problems are fundamentally difficult things to crack. But we knew that if we can crack 3D, that would unlock a huge amount of value for you, for our customers. And so we went for it. Now let me illustrate a little bit as to what that means in practice. Today we have over 80 people in research and development at Nearmap. Most of them, certainly vast majority, have contributed to our 3D effort. They're very humble, hardworking. Some of them are here today. Thank you to all of you guys. But really, many, in fact, are quite special in that they are world-class at what they do. They're leaders, thought leaders. John was one great example. We call him the godfather of 3D. But the reason we have to have people of that caliber may not be obvious. 3D being a hard, deep tech problem necessitates this. We have to have that caliber of people. Otherwise, you have no chance of solving that kind of problem. Let me give you a bit of a feel for what these people do every single day. And you're going to have a bunch of stuff flashing up on the screen behind me. We could be talking for hours about every single one of these topics. We're not going to do that today. What I want you to take away, though, is whether it's computer vision, image processing, embedded software, electronics, optics, or software that runs in the cloud on a massive scale, all of these things have to come together in order to make 3D a reality for you. So we've seen that we've invested heavily. We've got all these clever people doing stuff. What has this given us? In fact, it's giving us three very important things that provide a strong foundation, technology speaking, for 3D. The first is the world's most efficient, high-altitude, high-resolution, 3D-capable camera system. And in fact, we only started to roll out the latest iteration of this at the tail end of last year. Second, we've developed what we believe is the largest 3D cloud processing pipeline in the world. It takes all the images from a camera system, put it in the pipeline, and beautiful 3D pops out. It's kind of like a 3D sausage-making machine. Images in, 3D sausages out. I like 3D sausages, by the way. And the third thing we have is expertise in user experience and integration of 3D. So camera system, pipeline, and expertise in user experience and integration. And you must be thinking, that sounds awesome. You guys have some clever people doing clever stuff, technical wizardry and all that, but so what? What does that mean for you, for our customers? Let me show you. First, it means content, 3D content on a massive, unprecedented scale. Second, it means a platform that makes the content immediately, easily accessible. And third, it means a connection of all the content into an ecosystem of familiar, well-established tools that are already part of your workflows today. These tools are literally used by millions of people around the world. Ecosystem, platform and content. Each one of these things is groundbreaking in its own right. But when they all come together, magic happens. We call this magic Nearmap 3D. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted today to announce the general availability of Nearmap 3D. Please enjoy Nearmap 3D. This gives you a bit of a feel for the scale of our content. It kind of blows me away every time I watch it, except that's just a fraction of the footprint we've got. So whether you need a little or a lot, we've got it available. So that's the content. But how do we make this content easily and readily available to you? And this is where the platform comes in. We call the platform our MapBrowser. MapBrowser has been something we've had for a while. It's a web application, a web client. You log into it, and traditionally, you could use Nearmap's 2D imagery. But today, of course, is all about 3D, so let me illustrate. What you see here is actually a screen capture from our MapBrowser. I'm logged in. I'm looking at an area near Melbourne. And right now, we're looking at the traditional 2D view. So that's what's been available for a while. But we're about to give the MapBrowser a third dimension, as I said. And so in a second, you'll see us flicking over to 3D. It's going to happen right now. It's literally as easy as that. And immediately, the MapBrowser starts to load a 3D model, a 3D textured mesh of that area. And this could be one area out of 500,000 square kilometers. Now, of course, you can pan around, you can zoom in and out, but since today is all about 3D, you can also tilt, and there you go. You can look at pretty much anything you're interested in 3D. It's as simple as that. Now, inspection is, of course, great, but often you want to do perhaps some preliminary measurements, and the MapBrowser makes that very easy too. You can be productive from the get-go. We're about to do that here right now. Our line tool allows you to pick a couple of points on the mesh, draw a line, and straight away you get valuable information. In this particular case, we're going to measure the distance between these two buildings. But the line also gives you the length of the line, relative height between the endpoints, and the pitch, which is the angle of the line. So you could be measuring things like the pitch of a roof, perhaps, or, as we're going to show in a second, maybe you're interested in how tall another building is. In fact, we can look at this building right there. Again, it's as simple as a couple of clicks, draw a line, and you've got the height of the building. So this is pretty useful. It's available straight out of MapBrowser. But You may be working on a development in this particular area, and perhaps you want to take that 3D content into other tools that are already part of your workflow. We also make that very easy. And for that purpose, we provide what we call the export tool. The export tool allows you to effectively select an area that is of interest to you. You look top down, select the area you want. You can see that happening in a second. It's as simple as drawing a polygon. And once we've done that, you select one of a multitude of data types you can export. Perhaps you're interested in DSM, textured mesh, a variety of other things, point cloud. All of this is available to you. Immediately available, straight out of the box. Once we've decided data type, give it a name. In this case, we're going to call it new apartments. Press continue. There's a little pop-up that allows you to check what it is you've selected. Sometimes you're selecting quite a large area. It's probably worth checking. But if you're happy with everything, press export and it goes. That's it. Right there in the background, the export has commenced. And that export we finished in a matter of minutes, or perhaps if you've chosen a particularly large area, could be a couple of hours. Either way, go for a cup of tea or go for a run. That's probably what our CEO would do. Come back, and your 3D content is available to you right there. Now, what I want us to do is just slow down and think about what has happened here. That video was all of 3 minutes. And in those 3 minutes, we managed to log in, have a look at one area out of 500,000 square kilometers of 3D that's available on tap. We did some measurements, we chose an area and exported for use in other applications. 3 minutes. This used to take weeks, if not months. We did it in 3 minutes. If you think about it, this is kind of like Netflix compared to Blockbuster. Netflix is all about a whole heap of content available at your fingertips, great user interface, super simple, on demand. And Blockbuster, well, we know what happened there. But all joking aside, I hope that you can see the ease and the immediacy of this. So we've now seen the full footprint of content. We've seen how easily we make this available to you. And the third piece is, of course, the ecosystem. There's going to be a whole bunch of logos flashing up behind me. These logos represent leading tools that are literally used by millions of people today. Some of them, in fact, are entire ecosystems of tools, whether it's Autodesk, Esri, Dassault, Bentley. These are huge ecosystems. And our content, 500,000 square kilometers, by the way, that's if you're squashing into 1 kilometer wide, roll it forward, that's 12.5 times you could go around the Earth. All of that content has been connected to all the leading tools. That is unprecedented. So what can you do with all this? Let me give you a few examples. The first video is an impressive visualization of an infrastructure proposal. It was provided to us by one of our valued customers, Arcadis, and I would like to thank them for allowing us to showcase their work. This is a great example of how to effectively communicate a design to stakeholders and decision makers. This was actually for a proposal just outside of Perth, Western Australia. This next video illustrates what I call optioneering. Optioneering is all about the evaluation of different design options, different engineering options in the context of the broader environment. The tool being used here is Bentley City Planner, and of course the 3D content is Nearmap. Our next example illustrates asset management, focusing particularly on telecoms. Perhaps you have existing microwave links, or you are looking at next generation 5G deployments. Line of sight analysis is of critical importance and value. And here we are seeing ArcGIS Pro from Esri, that's the tool. Once again, it's Nearmap 3D content being used to provide the context for the investigation. We're looking at the impact of a new structure on the line of sight. The next example illustrates urban planning. Specifically, we're using Skyline's Terra Explorer as the tool. We're looking at the impact of a new proposed train station on the surrounding buildings, both residential and commercial. And the types of things you may be interested in, for instance, is shadowing. What is the impact on sunlight on the surrounding structures? And our final example looks at public safety, specifically the very relevant issue of planning for a major event. Perhaps it's a concert, or maybe it is a marathon. Either way, visibility or viewshed analysis is of fundamental importance. And this illustrates the ease with which you can perform that kind of analysis. Once again, using Nearmap 3D. So we've now seen some great examples of what you can do with Nearmap 3D. But of course, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more you could do. And I'm quite sure that there are more than a few of you here today thinking of your own use cases, things that are relevant to you. But whatever these may be, it all starts with clear, current, comprehensive 3D content available to you at your fingertips, on demand. And that, of course, is what Nearmap 3D is all about. So I invite you to reach out to your account manager and try Nearmap 3D for yourselves. Thank you.